Okay, let's dive right into this, because today we are going to shatter a major financial illusion, one that catches even the most seasoned market participants completely off guard. We're looking at the stark reality between the numbers flashing on your trading screen and the actual tangible wealth you take home at the end of the day. It's this psychological trap that honestly costs traders millions, and today we're dismantling it in this explainer.
Real quick before we get to the heavy lifting, a very brief disclaimer. Everything we're covering today is strictly for educational purposes, so definitely not financial advice. We're breaking down some highly complex, high-risk financial mechanics here involving options, futures, and margin trading. So it's absolutely vital you understand that this stuff carries significant risk.
All right, with that out of the way, I want to start by asking you a rather provocative question. Is your brokerage lying to you? Just think about it for a second. When you log into your platform, the very first thing you see is this number that makes you feel powerful, right? Secure, ready to trade. But is that number actually reflecting reality? Or is it a carefully constructed mirage just designed to keep you playing the game?
Well, according to the source material we're digging into, the answer is a resounding yes. It states, pretty boldly I might add, the brokerage interface is fundamentally designed to lie to you. Think about how that interface is laid out. There's always this huge, bold font right at the top of your screen, proudly displaying your available buying power. And what does that actually do? It effectively tricks your brain. It forces us into equating a temporary, revocable line of credit with our true personal net worth.
Section 1. The Buying Power Delusion. Breaking the psychological illusion.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the contrast. To truly build wealth, we have to absolutely break our psychological attachment to our screens, and that starts with understanding this inherent conflict. On the one hand, we've got your unrealized buying power. It's essentially just an algorithmic allowance. The text literally calls it monopoly money because, well, it exists strictly at the whim of the clearinghouse. But on the other hand, we have realized cash. This is your actual ammunition. This money is sovereign. It belongs to you, completely independent of whatever the clearinghouse algorithm decides to do today.
Here's the harsh truth, though. Theoretical margin is entirely fictional until a trade is successfully closed and those funds actually clear. You absolutely cannot use theoretical margin to fund your retirement. You can't use it to buy real estate or hard assets, and you certainly can't use it to pay for a 4-week sabbatical. If your trading architecture lacks a ruthless, mechanical system to extract that theoretical margin and convert it into cleared, realized cash, you aren't actually building wealth at all.
Which brings us to Section 2, the span margin trap, the brutal mechanics of dynamic risk.
This is where we meet the hidden villain of our story. It's the exact mechanism that wipes out traders right when they are at their absolute most vulnerable. To understand why trusting your buying power is such a fatal error, you have to understand span margin. Unlike your standard fixed Reg T margin, which just requires a predictable percentage of your capital, span margin is aggressively dynamic. Think of your buying power under the system as a giant elastic band. But here's the catch. The broker is the one controlling the tension. The entire system is built from the ground up to protect them, not you.
And this creates a highly dangerous phenomenon known as the liquidity mirage. You know the vibe. In a calm, low-volatility market, the capital required to put on a massive trade, like selling a 100-wide put vertical, is seductively low. It barely makes a dent in your buying power. Your account looks massive, and this false sense of security, this literal mirage, is exactly what actively encourages traders to over-leverage their books. You feel completely safe, right up until the exact moment you aren't.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how the trap snaps shut. Think about the capital required during a calm market. It's tiny, right? Almost negligible. But when the market drops and implied volatility spikes, boom, the trap closes. The span algorithm instantly expands the margin requirement for the exact same positions you already hold. Suddenly, the capital required to just hold your spreads can double or even triple overnight.
Which leaves you facing this harsh, terrifying reality. The quote reads, "The excess buying power you relied on evaporates precisely when you need it most. You get forced into a margin call. You get liquidated. And the real kicker here? It wasn't because the market actually breached your strike price. No, it's because the broker unilaterally changed the rules mid-trade. Your safety net just vanished while you were taking heavy fire."
All right, let's pivot to the solution. Section 3, the custodial firewall, building wealth in the fortress.
Fortunately, we're not just left hanging here. There's a structural, basically bulletproof solution. The text gives us this phenomenal guiding principle.
Wealth is not built on the battlefield, it is built in the fortress. Securing the cash is only step one. To survive the S-span margin trap over the long haul, you have to build what they call a custodial firewall. This is a physical, literally unbreachable separation of your capital across two entirely distinct environments. So how do we actually structure this? Well, on the one side you have the engine. Let's call it Account A. This is your active derivative trading account. Its one and only job is to deploy high-probability setups, absorb managed risk, and generate income. This is the battlefield. But on the other side you have the vault, Account B. This is physically separate. It's a completely disconnected compounding reservoir, fully insulated from the battlefield, ensuring the clearinghouse can never, ever reach it. Let's move to the mechanics and see how this actually builds into an unstoppable process. Step 1, you generate income in the engine. Step 2, and listen, this is critical. You introduce intentional friction. As profits are realized, a strict, non-negotiable percentage is systematically swept out of the engine and directly into the vault. And finally, step 3, once it's in the vault, that cash is deployed to compound safely in yield-bearing instruments. We're talking T-bills, ETFs, or broad index funds. So why go through all this trouble? Well, what makes this structure so incredibly powerful is what happens once the money is inside the vault. By forcing your realized cash behind this custodial firewall, it is permanently removed from the risk of span margin expansion. It is completely dead to your active trading system. You are essentially guaranteeing your financial survival. Because look, even if your active engine account gets wiped out by a catastrophic black swan market shock, your accumulated wealth in the vault, it remains completely untouched. Which leaves us with one final, deeply important question to reflect on today. Take a hard look at your own trading architecture. Are you genuinely building resilient, unshakable wealth behind a firewall? Or are you just playing a video game, just running up a high score and buying power on a server you don't even own? Because remember, if you haven't mechanically extracted the capital from the market, you haven't earned it yet. Take a look at your accounts today and ask yourself which game you're really playing. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.